The wallpaper in our master bedroom was ugly as sin, but stripping it at midnight wasn't about home improvement. It was about staying sane while my wife giggled like a teenager on the phone downstairs, planning her girls' trip to Cancun. I'm Robert Mitchell, Rob to my friends. What's left of them anyway. At 42, I run Mitchell Home Repairs, a one-man operation that's kept us comfortable in this split-level suburban house for 15 years. Not glamorous, but honest work. Something Veronica used to appreciate before she landed that paralegal job at Hartman and Associates and discovered I was boring. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Oh, Derek, you're terrible. Her voice drifted up through the heating vents. Derek? Who the hell was Derek? I pressed my ear to the floor. Veronica was whispering now, but her words cut through the silence like a blade. Rob's upstairs playing with wallpaper again. God, he's so predictable. Sometimes I feel like I'm married to a maintenance man. The scraper slipped in my hand, gouging the drywall. 15 years of marriage, and I was maintenance. Not a husband, not a partner. Just the guy who fixed things while she lived her real life somewhere else. My phone buzzed. Angela, our 17-year-old daughter, had posted another TikTok from her room next door. The caption read, POV, your dad is the most boring man alive and your mom deserves so much better. Your dad is a wallpaper nerd, your mom glow up. Boring, the word everyone used for Rob Mitchell. Boring Rob with his boring job and his boring hobbies. Well, maybe boring Rob was about to get interesting. I ripped another strip of wallpaper, revealing the bare wall underneath. Sometimes you have to strip things down to see what's really there. Sometimes the foundation is stronger than what's covering it. I can't wait to see you in Cancun. Veronica purred into the phone. Rob will never know. But Rob already knew, and Rob was done being boring. The next morning, Veronica announced her travel plans over coffee like she was discussing the weather. I'm taking a week in Cancun with the girls from work. You don't mind, do you? Mind? I minded that she was lying to my face. I minded that our daughter thought I was a joke. I minded that my wife was planning to cheat on me with some guy named Derek while I paid for her vacation. But I just smiled and said, Sounds great, honey. I'll probably do some work around the house. Perfect. She didn't even look up from her phone. Maybe you can finish that wallpaper project. Oh, I was going to finish a lot more than wallpaper. After Veronica left for work, I called my buddy Jerome Washington, the only contractor in town I trusted. Jerome and I went back 20 years, back when we were both trying to build something from nothing in this fading Midwest town. I need a favor, Jerome. Big one. What kind of favor? His voice carried that careful tone you use when your friend sounds different. The kind that involves changing locks and moving furniture. Jerome was quiet for a long moment. Rob, what's going on? My wife wants space. I'm giving her all the space she needs. 3 days later, Veronica left for Cancun with 2 suitcases and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She kissed my cheek at the door, and for a second, I almost felt guilty about what I was planning. Almost. The moment her Uber disappeared around the corner, Jerome's truck pulled into the driveway. You sure about this, man? Jerome asked, hefting his toolbox. Never been more sure of anything in my life. We started with the locks, every single one. Front door, back door, garage, even the garden shed. Then we moved to the master bedroom. Everything that screamed Veronica went into boxes. Her vanity, her jewelry box, her collection of self-help books about finding your authentic self. Jerome shook his head as we carried out her antique dresser. This is ruthless stuff, Rob. Ruthless? She's planning to screw another man on my dime. This is just home improvement. By evening, the master bedroom was transformed. Gone were the floral curtains and decorative pillows. In their place, a leather recliner, a big screen TV, and a mini fridge stocked with beer. I'd turned our romantic sanctuary into the ultimate man cave. I was admiring our work when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. The message contained a single photo. Veronica in a hotel bar, laughing with a guy who looked like he spent more on hair gel than I made in a week. The text read, "You're not the only one making changes, Bobby." Someone was watching. Someone knew exactly what was happening, and they wanted me to know they knew. I stared at the photo, studying every detail. The guy, Derek presumably, had his hand on Veronica's thigh. She was leaning into him, her wedding ring nowhere to be seen. My phone buzzed again. Another photo, this one showing them kissing in the hotel lobby. Then a third message. "She's been planning this for months. Thought you should know." I set the phone down and opened a beer. Someone out there was playing games, but I didn't know the rules yet. What I did know was that boring Rob Mitchell was officially gone, and whoever was sending these photos was about to meet his replacement. Veronica's key didn't work. I watched from the kitchen window as she stood on our front porch at 10 p.m., stabbing her key at the lock like it had personally offended her. She was tan from Cancun, wearing a new sundress that probably cost more than my monthly truck payment. She rang the doorbell. I took my time answering, making sure to crack open a beer first. "Rob, what the hell? My key doesn't work." "Weird." I took a sip of beer. "Must be broken." "Don't play games with me, let me in." "Can't do that, Veronica. House rules have changed." Her face went through several expressions: confusion, anger, then something that might have been fear. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about Derek. I'm talking about your little vacation romance. I'm talking about how you've been planning this for months." The color drained from her tan. "I don't know what you think you know, but I know everything." I held up my phone, showing her the photos. Someone's been very helpful. Veronica's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Finally, she found her voice. "Rob, I can explain." "No need. You wanted space, remember? Well, now you have it. All the space you could ever want." "You can't lock me out of my own house." "Actually, I can. Funny thing about joint property, either spouse can change the locks. I checked with a lawyer." That was a lie, but it sounded good. Veronica pulled out her phone. "We'll see about that." 20 minutes later, Officer Dave Harris pulled up in his patrol car. Dave and I had gone to high school together, back when this town had a future. Now he spent his days breaking up domestic disputes and writing speeding tickets on the highway that led to better places. "Evening, Rob, Veronica. What seems to be the problem?" "He locked me out of my own house." Veronica's voice had that shrill edge it got when she didn't get her way. Dave looked at me. "That true?" "I changed the locks for security reasons. My wife has been traveling with unknown companions, and I was concerned about who might have access to our home." Dave nodded slowly. He'd been a cop long enough to read between the lines. "Any violence? Threats?" "None," I said. "I've been perfectly civil." "He's being passive-aggressive and vindictive." "Ma'am, being passive-aggressive isn't a crime. Is there somewhere else you can stay tonight?" Veronica's face went red. "This is ridiculous. Dave, you know me. You know us. I know you're separated and having a dispute about property. That's a civil matter, not criminal. Rob, you willing to let her get some personal items?" "Of course, but I'll need to supervise. House rules." Dave looked tired. "Fair enough. Veronica, you can get what you need for tonight, but you'll have to work out the rest with lawyers." I led them inside, enjoying the look on Veronica's face when she saw the transformed living room. I'd removed all her decorative touches, the throw pillows, the scented candles, the inspirational quotes she'd hung everywhere. The space looked bigger, cleaner, more like a home, and less like a lifestyle magazine. "What did you do to our house?" she whispered. "Improved it. You always said I should take more initiative with decorating." We walked upstairs to the master bedroom. Veronica stopped in the doorway, staring at my man cave paradise. "Where's my vanity? My dresser? My—" "Boxed up and stored safely in the garage. Don't worry, nothing's damaged. Dave whistled low. Damn, Rob, you work fast. I'm motivated. Veronica grabbed some clothes from the closet, shoving them into an overnight bag. This isn't over, Rob. You can't just erase me from our life. I'm not erasing you, honey. I'm just editing, cutting out the boring parts. She slammed the bag shut and stormed past me. At the top of the stairs, she turned back. You think you're so clever, don't you? Well, I have friends, Rob. People who care about me. People who'll help me. I'm counting on it. After they left, I sat in my new recliner and opened another beer. My phone was buzzing with notifications. Angela posting about the drama at home, Veronica's friends commenting with supportive messages, neighbors asking if everything was okay. The anonymous number texted again. Nice work, but this is just the beginning. I stared at the message. My mysterious ally was right. Changing locks and redecorating was just the opening move. Veronica had friends, resources, and 15 years of social connections in this town. But she'd underestimated boring Rob Mitchell. She thought I was just a maintenance man, someone who fixed things quietly and never made waves. She was about to learn that sometimes the quiet ones are the most dangerous. My phone rang. Angela's name flashed on the screen. Dad, what the hell is wrong with you? Mom is crying in her car outside Aunt Linda's house. Your mother made her choices, Angela. I'm just living with the consequences. You're being a complete asshole. Watch your language. I'm 17, Dad. I can say asshole, and you're acting like one. Your mother cheated on me, Angela. She planned a romantic getaway with another man while I paid for it. But I'm the asshole? Silence on the other end. Then, she said it wasn't like that. Ask her about Derek. More silence. Dad, I don't want to choose sides. Then don't. But understand that actions have consequences. Your mother wanted adventure and excitement. Well, life just got very exciting. I hung up and finished my beer. Tomorrow, the real work would begin. Tonight, I was just going to enjoy the quiet. For the first time in months, our house felt like home. The Riverside High School Spring Fundraiser was the social event of the season in our little town. Every parent who mattered would be there, dressed in their best casual wear, pretending to care about new gymnasium equipment while really gossiping about their neighbors. I hadn't planned to attend. These events were usually Veronica's domain. She loved playing the role of engaged parent, networking with other professional women, showing off our stable family life. But Angela had begged me to come, and something in her voice told me I needed to be there. I should have trusted my instincts. I arrived at 7 p.m., wearing my best jeans and a button-down shirt that Veronica had bought me for Christmas. The school cafeteria had been transformed with balloons and banners, round tables covered in plastic tablecloths, and a sad DJ playing inoffensive pop music. I grabbed a beer from the volunteer bar and scanned the room for Angela. Instead, I spotted Veronica across the room. She wasn't alone. Derek stood next to her, his hand resting possessively on the small of her back. He was exactly what I'd expected from the photos. Artificially white teeth, expensive haircut, the kind of guy who wore cologne to the grocery store. He looked like he'd stepped out of a car commercial, all flash and no substance. But what made my vision go red wasn't Derek. It was how comfortable they looked together. How Veronica was introducing him to other parents, laughing at his jokes, playing the role of happy couple that should have been mine. Rob, there you are. I turned to find Melissa Chen, Veronica's best friend since college. Melissa was a real estate agent with a fake smile and an agenda for every conversation. She'd never liked me, thought Veronica had married beneath her station. Melissa, enjoying the party? It's wonderful. So nice to see Veronica happy again. Her smile was sharp enough to cut glass. She looks radiant, doesn't she? I followed her gaze back to Veronica and Derek. They were talking to Principal Williams, and Derek was gesturing animatedly, probably telling some story about his success in the car business. She certainly looks different, I said. Derek seems lovely, so successful, so attentive. Veronica deserves someone who appreciates her. She had someone who appreciated her. Melissa's laugh was like breaking glass. Oh, Rob, you're sweet, but let's be honest. You and Veronica grew apart. It happens. The important thing is that she's found someone who makes her feel alive again. I took a long drink of beer, studying Melissa's face. There was something in her expression, a smugness that went beyond simple loyalty to her friend. How long have you known about Derek? What do you mean? How long have you been helping my wife cheat on me? Melissa's fake smile flickered. I don't know what you're implying, but I'm not implying anything. I'm asking directly. How long have you been covering for Veronica's affair? Rob, you're being paranoid. Am I? Because someone's been sending me photos. Someone who knew exactly where they'd be and when. Someone with inside information. Melissa's face went pale. I think you've had too much to drink. I've had one beer, but I'm about to have another. I walked to the bar, my mind racing. Melissa knew more than she was letting on. The question was whether she was helping Veronica or helping someone else. I was ordering my second beer when the DJ's voice cut through the chatter. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special announcement. Veronica Mitchell would like to say a few words about tonight's fundraiser. My wife stepped up to the microphone, radiant in a red dress I'd never seen before. Derek stood behind her, beaming like a proud boyfriend. Thank you all for coming tonight, Veronica began, her voice carrying easily through the room. As many of you know, I've been going through some personal changes lately. Sometimes in life, we have to make difficult decisions about what makes us truly happy. I felt every eye in the room turn toward me. Conversations stopped. The temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. I want to thank my friend Derek for his support during this transition. He's shown me what it means to be valued, to be seen, to be appreciated for who I really am. Derek stepped forward and put his arm around her waist. Veronica leaned into him, and the message was clear to everyone in the room. She'd moved on, and she wanted the whole town to know it. The crowd was silent. This wasn't a fundraiser announcement. It was a public declaration of war. I set down my beer and walked toward the front of the room. Every step felt like moving through water, but I kept going until I reached the microphone. Excuse me, I said, my voice carrying clearly through the sound system. I'd like to add something to my wife's announcement. Veronica's eyes went wide. Derek's smile faltered. The crowd leaned forward. Veronica's right about making difficult decisions, like the difficult decision to plan a romantic vacation with another man while your husband pays for it, or the difficult decision to lie to your family for months while you pursue your happiness. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone's phone was recording. Angela appeared at the edge of my vision, her face a mask of horror. But Veronica's also right about being appreciated. Derek, I hope you appreciate that you're dating a woman who'll lie to your face, cheat without remorse, and publicly humiliate her family when it suits her needs. Because if she'll do it to me, she'll do it to you. I handed the microphone back to the DJ and walked toward the exit. The crowd parted like the Red Sea, everyone staring at me with a mixture of shock and fascination. Behind me, I could hear Veronica shouting my name, but I didn't turn around. I'd said what needed to be said. Outside in the parking lot, my hands were shaking as I lit a cigarette. I'd quit smoking 5 years ago, but I'd bought a pack that afternoon, somehow knowing I'd need it. My phone buzzed. A text from the anonymous number. Well played, but you're not done yet. Another message followed immediately. Meet me at the Rusty Nail tomorrow at 8 p.m. It's time you knew the whole truth. I stared at the messages, my mind reeling. Someone had been orchestrating this from the beginning, feeding me information, pushing me towards this confrontation. The question was, who was pulling the strings and what did they want in return? Behind me, car doors were slamming as people left the fundraiser early. The social event of the season had become the scandal of the year. and I was right in the center of it. For better or worse, boring Rob Mitchell was officially gone. The Rusty Nail was the kind of bar where people went to disappear. Dim lighting, cracked vinyl booths, and the smell of cigarettes that had soaked into the wood over decades. It wasn't the sort of place you'd expect to find Melissa Chen, with her designer handbags and manicured nails. But there she was, sitting in a corner booth, nursing a martini, and looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. "Rob, thanks for coming." I slid into the booth across from her, studying her face in the flickering light of a neon beer sign. "You're my anonymous tipster." "Guilty." She took a sip of her drink, her hand trembling slightly. Though I prefer to think of myself as a concerned friend. "Concerned about what? Your best friend's marriage?" Melissa laughed bitterly. "Veronica stopped being my best friend the moment she decided she was too good for the rest of us. Do you know what she calls me behind my back? Small-town Melissa. Like she's some sophisticated city woman instead of a paralegal from the same fading Midwest town as the rest of us." I ordered a whiskey from the waitress and leaned back in the booth. "So this is revenge? This is justice. Veronica thinks she can use people, discard them when they're no longer useful, and face no consequences. She's wrong." "What did she do to you?" Melissa's face hardened. "Last year I was going through my divorce from Paul. Messy, ugly, the kind where lawyers get rich and everyone else gets poor. Veronica offered to help, said she'd talk to her boss about representing me at a discount. And? She never even asked. Instead, she told everyone at work about my personal business, made jokes about Paul's drinking and my financial problems. I found out when one of the other paralegals mentioned how funny Veronica's stories about desperate Melissa were at their office happy hour. The waitress brought my whiskey. I took a sip, feeling the burn. "So you decided to blow up her marriage." "I decided to give her husband the information he deserved to have. What you did with it was your choice. The photos, the tips about Derek, how did you get all that?" Melissa smiled for the first time since I'd arrived. "Derek's not as smart as he thinks. He posts everything on social media. His Instagram is a catalog of his affair with your wife. All I had to do was screenshot the right pictures and send them to you." "And the meeting at the school? You knew they'd be there together?" "Derek's been bragging about it for weeks, posted on Facebook about supporting his lady at her daughter's school event. The man has no sense of discretion." I finished my whiskey and signaled for another. "What else do you know?" "About Derek? He's a walking disaster. His car dealership is barely staying afloat. He owes money to half the contractors in town, and he's got a gambling problem that would make Vegas blush. Your wife picked a real winner." "And Veronica?" "She's been planning to leave you for months. The Cancun trip was supposed to be her trial run, see if she and Derek were compatible for the long haul. She was going to come back and ask for a divorce, probably try to take half of everything." The second whiskey went down easier than the first. "Was. Past tense. You've changed the game, Rob. She can't play the victim now. Everyone in town saw what happened at the school. She looks like exactly what she is, a cheating wife who got caught." "What about Angela?" Melissa's expression softened slightly. "She's a kid caught in the middle, but she's not stupid. She'll figure out who the real villain is." I stared into my empty glass, processing everything Melissa had told me. "Why are you helping me?" "Because Veronica destroyed my reputation in this town. Because she cost me friends, business contacts, and my self-respect. Because she needs to learn that actions have consequences." "And what do you get out of it?" "I get to watch her world fall apart the same way mine did. I get to see her realize that being beautiful and charming isn't enough to protect you when you've made the wrong enemies." Melissa finished her martini and gathered her purse. "There's one more thing you should know. Derek's not her first affair." "What?" 2 years ago, she had a thing with her boss's son. Lasted about 3 months before his wife found out. Veronica managed to keep it quiet, but I know because she confided in me back when we were still friends. Jesus. She's not the woman you married, Rob. Maybe she never was. Maybe you just saw what you wanted to see." Melissa stood to leave, then paused. "For what it's worth, I always liked you. You deserved better than what she gave you." After she left, I sat alone in the booth, staring at the neon beer signs and trying to process everything I'd learned. My wife wasn't just a cheater, she was a serial cheater. Our entire marriage had been a lie. My phone buzzed with a text from Angela. "Dad, we need to talk. Can you come home?" I paid my tab and walked out into the night air. The temperature had dropped, and storm clouds were gathering on the horizon. It felt like the whole world was holding its breath, waiting for something to break. When I got home, Angela was sitting on the front porch, still wearing her dress from the school event. Her makeup was smeared, and she'd been crying. "Dad, I'm sorry." I sat down next to her on the porch steps. "For what?" "For the TikToks, for saying you were boring, for taking Mom's side without knowing the whole story." "You don't need to apologize for loving your mother. But I do need to apologize for not seeing who you really are." She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "Mom called me tonight. She's furious about what happened at the school. She said you humiliated her on purpose." I told the truth. "I know, and that's what scares her." Angela looked at me with eyes that seemed older than 17. "She's not coming back, is she?" "I don't think so." "Good. Because after tonight, I don't think I want her to." We sat in comfortable silence, watching the storm clouds gather. In the distance, thunder rumbled like a warning. The war with Veronica was just beginning, but for the first time in months, I wasn't fighting it alone. 3 weeks after the school incident, Veronica made her move. She showed up at my house with Derek, Angela's Aunt Linda, and a locksmith, apparently believing that sheer numbers would intimidate me into submission. I watched from the kitchen window as they gathered on my front lawn like some suburban army. Veronica was gesturing wildly, probably explaining her strategy to her assembled troops. Derek looked uncomfortable in his expensive suit, like he was beginning to realize that dating a married woman came with complications he hadn't anticipated. The doorbell rang. I took my time answering, making sure to grab my phone and start recording before I opened the door. "Hello, Veronica. Bringing the cavalry today?" "Rob, this has gone on long enough. I want my things, I want access to my house, and I want you to stop this childish behavior." "Your house?" I kept my voice calm, reasonable. "I wasn't aware you'd been making mortgage payments from Derek's bed." Derek stepped forward, puffing out his chest. "Hey, that's enough. You need to treat Veronica with respect." I looked him up and down slowly. "And you are?" "I'm Derek Morrison, Veronica's boyfriend." "Ah, the famous Derek. I've heard so much about you. How's the car business? I heard you're having some financial difficulties." Derek's face went red. "My business is fine." "Really? Because I heard you owe Tommy Castellano 15 grand from poker games, and that your dealership's lease is 3 months behind. But hey, maybe that's just gossip." The color drained from Derek's face. Behind him, Linda and the locksmith exchanged glances. Veronica stepped between us. "Rob, I don't care about Derek's finances. I care about getting my life back." "Your life? You mean the life where you lie to your husband, cheat with multiple men, and abandon your daughter when it's convenient?" "Multiple men?" Derek's voice cracked slightly. I smiled. "Oh, Derek doesn't know about Marcus, the lawyer's son? That was before your time, though, 2 years ago. Lasted about 3 months, just like most of Veronica's interests." Veronica's face went white. "Rob, stop." "Stop what? Telling the truth? I thought we were past keeping secrets." Derek was staring at Veronica. "Who's Marcus?" "Nobody important," Veronica said quickly. "Rob's making things up." I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my photos. Melissa had been thorough in her intelligence gathering. I have pictures, Derek. Would you like to see them? There's a particularly nice one from the Marriott downtown. That's enough. Veronica lunged for my phone, but I stepped back. Careful, honey. We have witnesses. Wouldn't want to add assault to your list of accomplishments. The locksmith cleared his throat. Ma'am, I think I'm going to head out. This seems like a family matter. No, wait! Veronica grabbed his arm. I'm paying you to change these locks. Actually, I said, pulling a folded paper from my pocket, you're not. This is a restraining order preventing anyone from altering the locks or entering this property without my permission. Signed by Judge Morrison this morning. Derek's head snapped up. Morrison? That's my last name. Funny coincidence. Judge Morrison is very concerned about the sanctity of marriage, especially when one spouse is planning to defraud the other in divorce proceedings. That was a complete lie, but it sounded official enough to make the locksmith pack up his tools. Linda finally spoke up. Rob, this is cruel. Veronica made mistakes, but she's still Angela's mother. And she's welcome to see Angela anytime. At Derek's place, or at your house, Linda. But she's not welcome in my home. It's her home, too. Was, past tense. She gave up that right when she decided to build a new life with Derek. Veronica was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. Rob, please. Can't we work this out? Can't we try counseling? For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Veronica, 3 months ago, I would have done anything to save our marriage. I would have gone to counseling, changed everything about myself, forgiven the affair. But that was before I knew about Marcus, before I knew about the lies, the manipulation, the complete lack of respect for our family. I never meant for it to happen this way. Yes, you did. You planned every step. The only thing you didn't plan for was getting caught. Derek was backing toward his car. Veronica, maybe we should go. No. She spun around to face him. You said you'd support me. You said we'd figure this out together. That was before I knew about the other guy, and the debt, and the crazy husband with restraining orders. Rob's not crazy, he's just angry. Lady, angry husbands with lawyers scare the hell out of me. I've got my own problems to worry about. Derek got in his car and drove away, leaving Veronica standing in my driveway with her mouth open. Linda put her arm around her sister. Come on, honey, let's go home. This isn't over, Rob, Veronica said, but her voice had lost its fire. I'll get a lawyer. I'll fight you for half of everything. You do that. But remember, I have pictures, witnesses, and a 17-year-old daughter who's tired of your drama. Good luck explaining to a judge why you deserve half of a house you abandoned to live with your boyfriend. After they left, I sat on my porch and called Angela at school. Dad, is everything okay? It's perfect, sweetheart. Your mother stopped by for a visit, with Derek and a locksmith. Oh no. What happened? Derek learned about Marcus and decided he didn't want to be part of this family after all. Your mother learned that actions have consequences, and I learned that boring Rob Mitchell is a lot tougher than anyone gave him credit for. Angela laughed. You're not boring, Dad. You're terrifying when you want to be. Only to people who deserve it. That evening, I got a text from Melissa. Heard Derek dumped her. Nice work. I replied, thanks for the intel. Couldn't have done it without you. What happens now? I looked around my house, finally and completely mine. Angela would be home from school soon, and we'd order pizza and watch movies without walking on eggshells around Veronica's moods. Now I get my life back.